Here's a stat that most estate agents will just gloss over. In the UK, roughly 30% of property sales fall through after the offer has been accepted. So if you've just had an offer accepted, congratulations, but you haven't bought the house yet. You've just basically entered a 3-month limbo where the seller can change their mind, the bank can get nervous and pull the funding, or the solicitors can simply stop talking to each other for weeks on end. If you treat this phase like shopping, where you just pay the money and take the keys, you're going to get incredibly stressed. But if you treat it like a proper project where you manage the people and the risks, you might actually get the keys. If you're new here, I'm Johnny. My background's in commercial finance, so I tend to look at property through a lens of risk and spreadsheets, rather than getting emotional about it. In the last 2 videos, we found a deal in Lincoln for £145,000. We costed up the renovation at roughly £14,000, and in this one, we're executing the purchase. Now, before we even instruct a solicitor or fill out a form, we need to make a decision on the finance. At this stage, I don't guess, I follow a simple rule, and that is step 1, the finance decision. I ask one simple question for this step: is the property habitable? Does it have a functioning kitchen, a working bathroom? Is it secure and watertight? If the answer is no, it's a proper wreck, maybe no floorboards or the kitchen is missing, I generally can't use a standard mortgage, so I have to use bridging finance or cash. Bridging is a really useful tool, but it's expensive. The interest rates are monthly, not yearly, and the arrangement fees add up fast. I use it like a precise tool, only if I absolutely have to. And cash obviously is king in the world of property, but it ties up so much of your funds so you can't invest it elsewhere until the house is ready to sell or refinance. But if the property is habitable, even if it's dated, ugly, smells a bit like wet dog, then I can stick to a mortgage instead. It's cheaper, it's safer, and the paperwork is much more predictable. But, and this is the really important bit, I don't just filter when looking for mortgages by the lowest interest rate. That's a total rookie mistake. For a project like maybe this Lincoln one, I'm specifically looking for a 2-year tracker. But that's with the market we're in right now. And it's worth noting that interest only too, because I'm keeping my options open. My plan is to refurbish this house, increase the value and potentially refinance it later as part of the BRRR strategy in 6 months or a year. If I lock into a 5-year fixed rate because it's 0.1% cheaper, the bank will often charge me a massive ERC or early repayment charge to leave. So on a mortgage maybe worth 100k, that's £5,000 wasted just to exit the product. But with a tracker, I might pay a slightly higher fee up front, but I usually get a low or sometimes zero penalty for exiting early. So I'm happy to pay a small premium now for the flexibility to change my mind later if I decide to refinance or to flip it instead. Right, let's head to my office and go on to step 2, which is instructing the team. Once you know your strategy, you need to hire your team. You need 2 people, a solicitor and a surveyor. And let's start with the solicitor. When your offer is accepted, the estate agent will almost certainly recommend a solicitor to you. They might even be quite pushy about it. Do not use them. There is an inherent conflict of interest there. The agent wants the deal done fast so they can get their commission. They don't necessarily care if the legal work is thorough or not. You want a solicitor who is independent. And if you're buying in a limited company like I usually do, you need one who specializes in commercial conveyancing. If you hire a cheap high street firm who usually only deals with standard residential moves, then they'll look at the corporate paperwork and have a meltdown. It will slow you down by weeks. But how do you instruct the solicitor? Well, you call them up, you get a quote, and expect to pay about £1,500 to £2,000 right now for a limited company purchase, and then you tell them go. They will send you a client care pack, and this will ask for your ID and your source of funds. But this is the first hold-up. Do not let the pack sit in your inbox. Fill it out and send it back within 24 hours. The file does not physically open until that admin is done. But after the solicitor is the surveyor. Your bank will do a valuation, but that's just for their benefit, just to check the house exists and it isn't falling down and it's worth what you're borrowing. You often won't even see that report. They'll either just say yes or no. You need to book your own survey, usually at least a level 2 survey, which is a home buyer, or a level 3 building survey if it's got extra work that potentially needs to be done. You find a local RIC surveyor, you book them in and pay them directly. Do this immediately, as fast as you possibly can. And if you're wondering what to look for before you've even booked a surveyor, I've got a free property viewing checklist on my website that helps you spot the obvious stuff yourself. I'll link that below alongside the mailing list. Now we enter step 3, which is the boring middle. You've instructed the solicitor, you've applied for the mortgage, now nothing happens. The brutal reality is that solicitors are overworked, and if you leave them alone, your file will drift to the bottom of the stack. Unfortunately, you need to take charge. I have a simple protocol: Tuesday at 10 AM. Every Tuesday, I send a short email or make a quick call to my solicitor. I say something like, "Hi, just checking the status. Is it a hold up on our side or are we waiting for the seller solicitors?" I'm not being rude, I'm not shouting, I'm just removing friction. Ultimately, if you don't chase, you don't really get. Step 4 is the survey results. reports. About halfway through the process, you'll receive the survey report. This is the panic point for a lot of new investors. The report will be 40 pages long and it will mention damp, it will say the electrics need investigation, it will say that the insulation's bad, and it will say the roof is end of life. But do not panic. The surveyor's job is to identify every possible liability to protect their insurance. They are professional pessimists. That's basically their job. I personally treat the survey as information, not a verdict. I basically break the issues down into 3 buckets. Critical, which can be like subsidence, structural movement, Japanese knotweed. These are all deal breakers and I walk away if they are a problem. The second bucket is negotiation. So could need a new roof, maybe needs a full rewire. And these are quantifiable costs that I can potentially ask for a discount off the price of the property for. And the third is just noise. So like possibility of damp or old windows or creaky floorboards. If it's just an old house, these things are fairly normal. So if the survey finds something genuine, like a £3,000 defect, like the chimney stack is crumbling, I don't get emotional about it. I just go back to the estate agent with those facts and say like, this survey has flagged that the chimney still needs £3,000 of work. I'm keen to proceed, but I need to adjust my offer to reflect that unforeseen cost. So I'm just correcting the numbers based on new information, and it's not rude. The 5th step is exchange and completion. Once your solicitor is happy with the searches and the mortgage offer has been issued by the bank, we move to the exchange of contracts. This is the point of no return. Usually transfer your deposit and you are now legally bound to complete the purchase. If you pull out after this point, you will lose your deposit. Then, usually a week or 2 later, is completion. Your solicitor sends the full funds and the lender releases the mortgage cash. The estate agent calls you to say the keys are ready, and hopefully pretty soon. The last place I've just bought, the estate agent left the keys in her car and went on holiday. Even though I completed, I had to wait 3 days before I could actually get into the property. But let's hope that doesn't happen to you. That's it, the house is now yours. A quick note on reality, even with this process, things can and probably will go wrong. On a recent purchase I had, the searches took nearly 6 weeks because the local council had a backlog and there were some potential mine shafts underneath the property as well. I couldn't speed that up no matter how many emails I sent on a Tuesday. Sometimes you just have to wait. If you're currently looking at a deal and the numbers aren't quite making sense, or you've got a survey report that looks terrifying and you want a second opinion, I do offer one-to-one consulting sessions where we can go through the deal together. I've also linked the spreadsheet that I use to calculate my maximum offer down below. It's the same one that I use for all my own deals and it's completely free. But now we have the keys, the real work starts. And in the next video, I'm going to go on site and show you how I manage a renovation, how I find the trades, and the order in which we would rip everything out and replace it. If you want a preview of the renovation headaches that you need to look out for when doing a property up, I've done a full breakdown on that floating somewhere over here. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.